Monster Hunter Wilds tips, 50 total to be exact. I have a few things for every weapon class, hidden gameplay mechanics, quality of life features to use, and some things you should change in the options immediately. I'm Alex, and let's start arbitrarily in reverse with number 50. If you place down a barrel by a monster that's asleep, your palico will sometimes also lay down a unique barrel of their own. You can hold the interact input to pick it up and reposition it, or use it to prime the detonation of your own. Or just chain that extra explosive power in with your wake-up attack. Another option, wait till your palico puts their barrel down, hold the interact button on yours to stash it right back into your thick pocket, and now you have a completely free barrel to use. When you take out a barrel from your item bar, if you hold the input, you can skip right to equipping it into your hands. Then you can roll it and take your chances with the physics, or add an unnecessary new skill check for yourself. 49. With your weapon drawn, you can seamlessly run up some vertical surfaces to trigger a unique aerial attack, like the Gunlance, swinging and reloading at the same time. You can also chain some movement-based attacks into a wall run to turn it into a two-part combo that implements a ground attack and aerial attack from just one input. With your weapon sheathed, you can still run up vertical walls, but you'll need to hold back plus the dodge input to jump off and access your weapon's regular aerial attacks. 48. Some weapons' focus strike can be used to rip and tear through multiple wounds all at once if you adjust your aim to hit through other glowing weak spots. The Greatsword is great at this, and why its focus strike can be swung vertically or horizontally. There are reasons to leave wounds active though sometimes, like to set up for a sleep attack, since these weak points function as a critical hit spot. The Flare skill is quite useful to add to most any build, because it makes it so that you inflict wounds more often and deal higher non-elemental damage to them. 47. You can equip your Ghillie Mantle during combat to immediately disappear from the target's sight. This gives you an opening for free sneak attack damage right in the middle of a fight. Smoke bombs also have a similar effect of disengaging with the target, but there is a cooldown on how often you can sneak attack. Before triggering your proctology exam, you can even place down a barrel bomb and use the sneak attack animation to pop the explosive at the same time. Also, the ambush skill can give you up to a 15% increased damage buff after you do a sneak attack. 46. The insect glaive can charge up a strong descending slash by holding the special attack input. This is special attack and this is normal attack for future buttonness throughout the video. If you hold down the special attack input while other attack animations are playing out, you can shorten the time it takes to chain into a full charge. By consuming all three active Kinsect buffs, you can press left trigger plus special attack at the end of the strong descending slash combo to extend the combo into a powerful rising spiral slash. The descending slash can also be charged and triggered from the air, which can then lead into that rising spiral slash. 45. Weapons with moves that pop them up into the air can activate their focus strikes out of midair, if aimed at an active wound. This lets you get up to those weak spots that would normally be pretty hard to reach from the ground. 44. Your Seikret saves lives. As soon as you're knocked down, get in the habit of quickly pressing the button to call over your mount. It can pick you up and often get you out of harm's way from subsequent attacks. If you're still face planting, there's even a unique animation in place to account for that. 43. With the switch axe, you can counter incoming hits with normal attack plus special attack in axe mode, or right trigger plus normal attack while in sword mode. Time this correctly with the axe and it'll grapple you over to the target for a follow-up. With the sword, it'll refill some of your gauges and kick you into a strong combo sequence. 42. If you're using a weapon with a charge gauge, you might want to add a training barrel to your camping gear. This adds an actual usable gameplay tool. Then if a hunt ever happens to take you past one of your tents, you can use this stationary barrel to freely top off your gauges or keep them active. 41. After the hammer's spinning strong upswing, you can hold right trigger, normal, and special attack to go right into a mighty charge. But after mighty charge, you can press normal plus special attack to go right back into that previous spin to win. This combination gives the hammer essentially an infinite string that can be repeated over and over to pile on damage. 40. In your tent, you can use the rest command to change the time of day and weather by spending guild points. Plenty means nice and clear, fallow means cloudy overcast, and inclement means stormy. You can also find the rest command by bringing out your portable grill. However, using this rest mechanic also refreshes the currently active monsters and investigations on every map, which is useful when trying to find a specific target or late game investigation for certain materials. 39. With either the light or heavy bowguns, you can actually continue to hold the reload input to automatically cycle through and reload every ammo type you have. 38. Pressing left on the D-pad will open your Seikret Pouch, which stocks free items at the start and periodically during a quest. If you bring along some honey with you, those free first aid meds can be improved to heal for more as a first aid med plus. If you add a shortcut directly to the First Aid Med Plus, it'll automatically do this conversion for you before you drink it. 37. After doing a charged sidestep with the bow, you can hold left trigger plus normal attack to do a jump shot after it. This can be done in any direction and makes you much more evasive and less likely to get hit. 36. With the sword and shield, after any attack, you can hold down normal plus special to trigger a multi-hit charged chop. This attack can also be substituted in at the end of the Perfect Rush combo, which imbues the attack with more damage than normal. 35. Every monster has at least one big attack that temporarily exposes a weak spot, which can be exploited with a focus strike if you're quick. This will only be visually shown red while you're in focus mode, so it's useful to use that from time to time to learn how to exploit the target. 34. With the lance, after doing a retribution thrust out of a guard, you can press normal and special attack to quickly go right into a follow-up dash attack. This gets to its charged up higher speed, higher damage version even faster. 33. With the dual blades, if you dodge straight through an incoming attack with correct timing, you'll get a temporary buff. This gives you access to the screw slicer on normal attack and makes subsequent dodges spin with your blades for additional damage. Just like life, cooking with shrimp extends the invulnerability window of evasion. Consider that. With the Adrenaline Rush skill, you get an additional attack up buff after doing a perfect evade, which pairs well with the evasion mantle. 32. A good early game armor set to get is the Ajaricon set. This gets you rank 3 of the Part Breaker skill, which has an added new property in Wilds. This skill makes it easier to break off monster parts, but also increase the damage you inflict to wounds with a focus strike. That's big, since popping wounds is a major feature in Wilds. Also, having Part Breaker early on is going to help in the long run, since you'll be netting extra materials to craft stuff by breaking off more giblets from your target. 31. If you hold left bumper, it'll reveal radial timer gauges next to every one of your buffs, debuffs, and ailments. This is useful information to have to get a general idea of how long those are going to stay active. 30. Customizing the heavy bowgun lets you switch between Wyvern Blast Ignition and Wyvern Counter Ignition. The Blast version allows the heavy bowgun to launch out small explosives that break apart into multiple tinier explosives. The Wyvern Counter can be charged, and if you release it right as you're about to get attacked, its outgoing damage will be greatly amplified. 29. If you leave a monster's carcass uncarved and just wait for a while, eventually it'll turn into a rotten carcass. You can still carve it for some materials, but this is just a nice detail that the devs actually thought of. 28. One of the easiest ways to power up the longsword is to hold down right trigger for a spirit charge attack. If you land just this one hit, it'll ramp the longsword up to its next charge level. The focus skill will slightly increase how quickly this attack charges up, along with improve the fill rate of the spirit gauge. 27. When using a focus strike on a wound, the hunting horn can actually input a quick sequence of notes during that attack animation. Also, when creating an echo bubble, you can store up a sequence of notes in a similar way during the cast. 26. In the default view, you can spend a lot of time just looking up at monsters under Grundle. If you want to see a bit more than that, go into the options, camera distance zoom, and I recommend setting it to 8, 9, or 10. That widens your vision quite a bit, and even lets you fit taller monsters in full frame. 25, halfway through the list. Why did I pick 50? What am I doing? With the Charge Blade, after successfully using a focus strike on a wound, the third buff next to your charge bar will activate. With that, you can then hold the input during axe attacks to spin the tip of the blade around for extra damage out of each swing. 34. Depending on your hunting horn type, right here you'll have one of 3 special performances. After you store up this unique song, press right trigger, normal, and special attack to play it. Like the offset melody, which can counter an incoming strike. The Melody of Life special performance functions as a direct heal, and the resounding melody will multi-hit with a reverberating sound wave. 23. If you use an elemental weapon, I highly recommend seeking out the Elemental Absorption skill. Then whenever you take elemental damage, it'll boost your own weapon's element and increase your defense against that damage type. Like I just took some fire damage here, and my ice attack goes from 780 up to 880, and my fire defense goes from 10 to 23. Absorb damage 2 more times while the buff is active, and now my ice damage is at 900 and my fire defense 39. This can be a massive boon to elemental weapons, and also a good defensive assist since it ups your defense dynamically to counter what you're fighting. You can get the elemental absorption skill from armor, or upgrade the imbibe charm to get it all just from that. 22. If you hold left bumper and press the touchpad on PlayStation or the view button on Xbox, you can access the expanded item bar. This lets you quickly navigate all your available items with the right stick. 21. On your Seikret, you can drift these bad boys by holding right trigger while pressing directly left or right. You also get a tiny speed boost if you don't hold on to it for too long. 20. If you go into the options, weapon attacks power display, and change it to a display without coefficient, it'll make all weapons use a more generalized damage value. This makes it easier to directly compare the damage between different weapon types. 19. With the light bowgun, immediately after a shot you can input a direction plus sidestep to chain into a burst step. This lets you evade, reposition, and shoot at the same time. 18. When you come across Thunderbugs, you can actually use your capture net on those to earn a free shock trap. Then you can plant your own snare wherever you want. 17. After doing a full blast combo with the Gunlance, you can continue the sequence by pressing normal or special attack to automatically reload and go right into a multi-full blast. If this attack hits, it'll lodge an additional stake in the target which will continually drill into them. 16. After you come back from a quest with additional stuff that you picked up, if you create an item loadout and select it, it'll not only restock your main items, but it'll also automatically store all those extra items for you. 15. The Sword and Shield's mounted attack will do the standard 1-2 slice. But if you hold the sprint input while you do a mounted attack, it'll do this alternate move that tears your blade through the target multiple times. 14. If you're using a stamina-hungry weapon like the dual blades or bow, keep a lookout for these grubs, because they give you a buff that drastically lowers the drain rate of your stamina. If you have the Mushroom Mancer skill, this lets you eat certain mushrooms for additional bonuses, like the Devil's Blight, which is another way to gain that useful stamina buff. 13. Using the bow's arc shot by holding left trigger, right trigger, and special attack now also lodges exploitable weak spots on the target. Then you can highlight those plus any wounds with a focus strike to hit multiple times. However, try to wait till all 3 of the spikes fully fill on each locked on node. This takes just a few extra seconds but increases the potency to each individual spot. 12. On the far left side of the screen, this shows any interactable environmental hazards and collectibles that are near you. Hold left trigger and then use the D-pad and special attack to toggle between and use any of them. If your mount is set to auto move, this is an easy way to gather things around you while you travel. 11. Using the switch axe when you have the red sword gauge filled, you can hold right trigger, normal, and special attack to charge up a strong full release slash. 10. If you time a perfect guard with the charge blade and then press normal attack, you can immediately gain that power axe mode buff I explained earlier that lets you spin the head of the axe around. Another option after a perfect guard is to press normal and special attack, which can kick you right into a super amped element discharge. The offensive guard skill is good to grab, since it'll give you an attack up boost after each of those perfect guards. 9. In the map, you can toggle over on this bar to see a list of every available collectible in the area. You can also mark certain things to be highlighted. Like Nitro Shrooms, if you have the Mushroom Mancer skill, you can consume these for an attack up buff, or find some Perish Shrooms for a defense up buff. The map will also show you the spawn timers on individual collectibles, so you know exactly when they're going to come back. Number 8. After the Longsword Spirit thrust into Helmbreaker, you can press right trigger to extend the combo if you have red spirit gauge. This will also rapidly refill the gauge if the attack connects. 7. With the Greatsword, you can press normal and special attack to do an offset rising slash, which can be used to attack through incoming hits and chain into a follow-up cross slash. Any move in Wilds that uses the term offset means that it can be used like a counter. The focus skill lowers the charge time of greatsword attacks like this, making it a must-have. 6. Both the Lance and Gunlance can hold their mounted attack to repeatedly poke with DPS. During this attack, if you wait till your character flashes red, it'll do an improved attack after releasing the input. However, the Gunlance can also shell during their mounted attack by rocking your finger over to hit special attack. 5. During the Dual Blades Demon Mode Blade Dance, done with normal and special attack at the same time, you can press right trigger after the first combo sequence to chain into a Demon Flurry. This lets you spin in any direction to continue the attack while repositioning. 4. If you turn on Arachnophobia Assistance from the main menu, this will change all the small spider-looking things into delicious little boba gummies. 3. The hammer has a brief window between attacks where it can strafe in any direction without ending the combo. You can also delay activation of the upswing attack by holding instead of tapping the input. Or during a focus strike, you can hold the right trigger to go right back into a full charge. 2. If you open the sub-menu option here, you can hit Edit tabs to change what shows up on your menu, or adjust the order of how things show. You can also create your own favorites menu and fill it with whatever menu actions you want. And number 1. When you mount a monster, you should jump around to each spot on their back and repeatedly stab until you have a weak spot on every section. This will give you more to play around with when you knock them down. Also, when they try to shake you off, instead of using the brace mechanic, simply move to a different spot to avoid being tossed. Since you made it all the way to the end, here is a bonus tip. Number -1. When using a sleep-inducing weapon, get in the habit of fighting monsters right on or near environmental hazards. If you time it right, you can get them to fall asleep right in the path of destruction. Then as they adorably nap, you can use the environment itself for an extra powerful wake-up. Alright, there's some things to get you going in Monster Hunter Wilds, but I do have a follow-up video to this in the works, which has tips exclusive to the endgame. So after you get to around chapter 5 or 6 in the story, come back here and that video should be out. If you have any other cool details or useful mechanics that you've figured out, put them down in the comments so we can turn this into a resource for the community. Thanks. As always, I'm Alex, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Oh wow, you're still here. Okay. Here's tip -2. Instead of ever having to use the Farcaster item to emergency escape back to a camp, you can instead just quickly press the map button, left D-pad confirm, and that'll immediately take you out of combat and put you safely back in your base camp. Hunters never retreat, but in case a hunter needs to retreat, just remember a quick input of the map button, left D-pad confirm, and you fast travel right back to safety. Okay, leave a comment if you found tip -2. I'm curious what percentage actually watches this deep in. You're the best.